Right way, everyone. I'm learning with Fable this time. Yes, Fable.
What did I do? I didn't do it.
Oh my god, he's been saying that since we've been watching those pilots of a bunch of indie animation over on YouTube. There's a lot of indie shows. Like, I am surprised their amount. I'm glad they're all here because they are fun to watch. But other than that, if you guys like what we're doing here, you know the thing. Keep subscribing, keep following, keep doing all that lovely nonsense that we love. And yeah, we're going to learn about WHIRL. I believe he's a helicopter. Babel, what is your favorite Transformer?
Grimlock.
Oh yeah, Grimlock.
I always knew.
I love Grimlock. Grimlock is stupid. He's a bozo, but he's not a bozo.
No, Grimlock's king.
I love Grimlock. He's crazy.
Anyway, we'll get on to this and get ready. But yes, we're learning about WHIRL. There's so many Transformers characters, it's kind of
This
insane.
week's episode takes a look at the basics on the unlikely journey from wrecker to rescue bot of Autobot helicopter WHIRL.
I like his design here, though for some reason his hand is a clamp. Looks pretty cool, huh, Fable?
Yee.
Yee. A very...
He's got the triumphs.
He does not... Well, we're not sure about the other one, but...
The toy that would become the original WHIRL was created by Japanese toy company Takatoku Toys.
So
Not
Named the Oberon
Not
Gazette,
Takara.
it transformed into an attack helicopter and was released in 1983 as part of the Special Armored Battalion Dorvac toy line, which was
Dorvac.
promoted by an anime of the same name. After Takatoku went...
Oh, they went under. This is another thing in Japan where there was a bunch of people making anime and putting toys of them. They still do it now, though. Especially for like Kamen Rider and Super Sentai. Why are the toys always better in Japan than they are here, Fable?
I think I'm gonna be completely honest. I think it's because when it comes to like toys in Japan, they actually feel like they have a lot of love and thought and effort into it. But then when we get them here, it's literally just them being like, all right, make something that'll sell money. Like it doesn't have to look perfect. It can be cheap as crap, but just make it and make us thousands of dollars.
Make us thousands of dollars.
Or like millions or something. That's how I think it is. Because like literally a long time ago, toys used to feel like they were actually made with effort, but at the same time, depending on the actual medium, like like the cartoon or whatever, the toys sucked too. They weren't the best. They were just there to make lots of money for the company that was doing it, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, I remember that. But yeah,
Yeah,
this
that's
toy
what I think.
this toy looks cool
In
though.
1984, the design for the Gazette was acquired by Bandai,
Ah,
and from there it
Bandai.
was licensed by Hasbro and imported to become part of the second year of the Transformers toy line in 1985
Nice.
as WHIRL. Unusual looking compared to most Transformers of the era, with one eye and claws instead of hands. WHIRL
it's not
was
a bad
marketed
design.
alongside fellow Dorvac import
got the
Roadbuster
triumph.
as an Autobot deluxe vehicle.
Autobot
Marvel Comics
Deluxe.
writer Bob Budiansky wrote a profile for WHIRL
That's not a
that
clamp, that's a
characterized him
weird
as an
thing.
aerial assault Autobot, whose signature tactic in battle was to joyfully fly in wild and dangerous patterns, psyching out Decepticons with deliberately reckless, irrational behavior that made them think he was crazy. Now, unfortunately, Hasbro had previously faced some legal difficulties incorporating another Bandai toy they had licensed, Jetfire, into the Transformers animated series.
Oh
And
yeah! That's originally a Valkyrie for Macross Fable. They licensed the toy, but apparently there was a huge kerfuffle on the licensing. Like, they had to change how it looked and what was going on. Because because Jetfire showed up in the show, but they had to change his head and a few other things for the toy. And it was just a big hassle, so they never want to go through that again, so they just kind of do their own thing, really. Which is, they only use one, like, They never license stuff usually because they don't want and show it in the show because they don't want to get in trouble again.
Not the kerfuffle.
It was a whole rights issue, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Not the kind of
That
thing I
sucks.
like. Anyway, we're going to head into this all again.
Evidently, they didn't want to go through it again, because WHIRL didn't
Ah.
appear in any American media. Not the cartoon, not the Marvel comic book, not
Ooh.
even a commercial.
Damn.
However, he did show up in a couple of stories written for the United Kingdom's
Yeah,
version
they
of
had
the
their
comic,
own version
in which
of the
he was a
comic.
member of the rough and tumble Autobot Commando unit, the Wreckers. Now, he only appeared with the team in 3 stories, and after his toy was discontinued in 1987, that was the last that would be seen of WHIRL for over a decade.
Damn.
But thanks to his lack of appearances anywhere else, being a Wrecker wound up being remembered as probably the most notable thing about WHIRL.
Oh.
And when the team returned to star in new comic books in the 21st century, from Dreamwave Productions to IDW Publishing to the Marvel sequel series Regeneration 1, WHIRL
Oh.
would reliably appear as a member once again, though still a minor one, never doing much of significance within the
Damn.
team.
I wish he kind of did, though.
In contrast to his low profile in media, this era saw WHIRL become a semi-regular presence in new Transformers toy lines. with
Basically, they're recoloring. This is something apparently they do a lot for toys, is they will recolor just a toy that's already existing into a different character sometimes.
Yeah.
They do this a lot from what I've
multiple
seen so
new
far.
incarnations of the character being released.
Of course, I didn't know
The
this as a
first
kid,
was in the
but, you know.
Transformers Universe toy line in
Oh,
2004,
it looks cool.
a recolor of the 1992
There we
Autobot
go.
Rotor Storm. The Transformers Collectors Club would later depict this version of WHIRL as hailing from the world of the Unicron trilogy, where he was a survivor of the dead Cybertronian colony
Oh.
planet Combatron.
Combatron?
WHIRL joined the world of the live-action movies in 2009's Revenge of the Fallen toy line, a recolor of the movie Autobot Evac in the colors of the Dorvac Oberon Gazette. This WHIRL was an MH-53 Pave Low helicopter, and a master of the Cybertronian martial art Metallicato.
What?
A second live-action
so
movie
no.
WHIRL, the first to be a brand new toy rather than a recolor of an existing figure, followed in 2011's Dark of the Moon line. This one, an observant Autobot who could convert
Oh.
into either a one-man gyrocopter or
That's
a
kinda
weapon mode
strange.
for his human partner Major Sparkplug to
Major
pilot.
spark plug?
In 2013, the Transformers Generations toy line
Okay,
released a
this looks a
version of
little
WHIRL
weird.
from the world of the Fall of Cybertron video game. A retool of the Combaticon Vortex, he could combine with the other Wrecker figures released in the series to become the giant robot Ruination.
I did love these, but this does not look great as a toy. It does not look like
Oh
it can
yeah, I
stand.
know. Oh, that's weird.
Like, the colors are fine, but this does not look like it could stand on its own 2 feet. It's too spindly. Needs a little bit more girth in there.
It was in between these new toy releases
Ooh,
that
cool
WHIRL
design.
finally got his first standout role in media, when he was chosen to be a main cast member in IDW Publishing's 2012 comic book, More Than Meets the Eye. This series delved into WHIRL's original profile, revealing that the crazy and irrational persona it described him as affecting wasn't really that much of an act.
Oh.
In the days before the war, when Cybertron was governed by a caste system that assigned Transformers jobs based on their alternate mode, IDW's WHIRL defied society's rules to become a watchmaker instead of an aerial soldier. As punishment, the planet's corrupt government mutilated him, removing his head and hands and replacing them with the one-eyed face and claws of his original toy. Left destitute,
That is horrifying, honestly. I don't like that at all, no. That is really horrifying. Like, you can't even grab stuff properly anymore.
And what universe
WHIRL's
is this?
life
Apparently in the IDW universe, in their comic More Than Meets the Eye.
Oh damn. Yeah, no, I to be honest, from what I understand in the IDW continuity, they kind of went hard on some of the darker aspects of the things. I don't know if you know about this, but there's literally a Transformer that was he was a doctor, but he kind of went insane and started doing some really messed up experiments on people. It was like, oh, okay, guys, I see how it is. Maybe chill. It was bad, man. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
IDW knows how to go hard.
Yeah, they have, from what I know, tell me, have you ever heard of the Decepticon Justice Division?
No, but something tells me they're very aggressive.
Their whole thing is hunting down traitors to their cause. They're the
Yeah,
most. They don't like just killing. They like torturing.
yeah, that made sense.
Yeah.
Descended into a cycle of violence and abuse, living on the streets, spending time in prison, that left him a psychologically unwell bot, full of anger and hatred both for the world and for himself, which he took out on
Understandable.
others in gleeful, sometimes even zany displays of random violence. At one point, while working as an enforcer for the Senate, he roughed up the young Megatron, a beating that set the future Decepticon leader
Megatronus.
on the path that would eventually
Oh,
lead him to
Megatron before
start
he was
the Great
Megatron.
War.
Yeah.
Even after joining the Autobots, WHIRL refused
Oh, by the way,
to let
did you ever watch Transformers One Fable?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I liked it. I like the little reference, a little nod to the original movie where they say you don't got the touch.
My God, you don't got the touch or the power.
Yeah, no,
Funny.
I love that little nod though. It's really nice, especially if you like know about the song and everything.
Fun fact: the voice actor for Rodimus and Optimus Prime, he literally, when they were telling him he didn't have to go see Pierre Cole, he said, "No, I need to go with a man who's been doing this for about 40 years, who's been doing that character for that long, and ask him how he does it." And I completely understand that. He does a really good job as Rodimus and Optimus. Also, the story does make a lot of sense because, as someone else put it in another video, this has to show why they could never resolve the conflict in over millions of years.
I mean, the thing is, Optimus and Megatron are just too similar, but they're so different at the same time. It's just not possible. And I think the thing I find so interesting though is what people kind of need to understand is in the beginning, the Decepticons, depending on the continuity, were actually in the right, trying to fight for equal rights for every Transformer on the planet, like on Cybertron. But as wars go on, the lines become more and more blurred and obscure that it's kind of hard to tell who's good and who's bad anymore, you know?
Well, usually in most continuity, it goes from "I will fight for my right" to "I will fight anyone who gets in my way."
Yeah, and I think it was like in the IDW run, I could be wrong about this. There's literally a panel where Optimus and Megatron finally sit down and talk, and like they kind of just don't understand each other's point of view. But like Megatron specifically states that one of the reasons he does what he does, like basically just kill off a bunch of innocent Transformers and does everything, is because he knows that Optimus feels for them and he likes fighting Optimus because he knows that every time Optimus hurts someone, he hurts himself, like emotionally. Every scar he has is because of what Megatron does to him. He does it because he knows that's the only way to hurt Optimus at this point. It's
Which
just
is
like Jesus Christ, how obsessed are you with each other at this point? Because like yeah, it's they've been
mm-hmm,
doing it for millions of years, and think about it. To
mm-hmm.
us that only have like a finite like timeline, that millions of years isn't it's insane to be fighting a war,
Yeah,
especially against the same person. That's insane. And it's kind of hard to wrap your mind around it, you
yeah.
know?
It's kind of hard to wrap your arm around, and it just goes to like the Autobots basically came about because Megatron was going too far, and they were just destroying everything.
Right.
There was no right or wrong. There is you are with me or you are against me,
Right.
which
And
is never a
it,
good thing to say.
yeah, it's really not. It's just it's insane, honestly, when you really look into the greater lore of the Transformers. Because in the beginning, when you watch G1, it's very simple and easy to tell who's good and who's bad. But
Mhm.
as the lore expanded, it started to get really blurry lines to tell who's good and who's bad. Because sometimes it can be like I'm on Optimus' side, but then he starts doing these really crazy things, and you're just like, I'm with Megatron, even though Megatron's like a literal monster. It's kind of hard not to freaking
Well, when the thing started, when he promised you freedom and all these other things, it's easy to get swayed. But then you start to see how he implements it. You start to see
right,
that there were people that could have just been talked to, and he just rips them in half for standing in his way for a second. Well, Optimus is
right,
like as basically they put it, big robot dad.
yeah, and to kind of like do another thing real quick. If anyone's ever watched Transformers Armada, Galvatron actually made a fair point when he was talking to Optimus, like in some of the later episodes. He's just like, there's a reason you can't take me down. It's because we're two halves of the same coin, and after all these years, you've come to like the violence. It's why you keep me around. Because I can't live without you, and you can't live without me.
I
Something along the lines. That's not for word, but it's pretty much what he says, you know? And it's like, wow, that really hit the nail on the head, didn't it?
I'm not sure if it did. I just think he's how, because I don't really think Megatron or Galvatron or whoever understands how Optimus thinks because they can never really understand, or else the conflict would end.
Go of his anger, using
Right.
it to shut others out and justify his
Yeah.
own increasing brutality.
Oh,
This attitude made him a good fit for the Wreckers until he was thrown off the team for attempting to euthanize their badly wounded leader,
Oh.
Springer.
Oh,
This was where
boy.
More Than Meets the Eye picked up WHIRL's story as he joined the crew of the starship Lost Light. Angrier and more unstable than ever, he quickly
damn.
made an enemy of crewmate Cyclonus. But over time, their feud gradually evolved from the two trying to kill each other into an odd kind of friendship that saw
Crazy.
WHIRL slowly open back up to the world, as his experiences aboard the ship helped him realize that he still had room in his heart to care, both
Damn.
for others and maybe for himself as well.
no, what's so funny?
The new
I
theme
don't know, it
IDW
always
brought
just seems
WHIRL
like there's
was
always
soon
those
followed
tropes
with a
where
brand new
you go from enemies to friends.
Yeah, but if you do it well, it comes out perfectly.
No, I know, but I just remember. I think I don't really know if it was an exact line from Dragon Age, but at one point where I think you can recruit an assassin or someone tries to assassinate you. It's with Zevron. I remember it has to do with
Yeah.
his storyline. Basically, it's just like you really want to have more someone that tried to kill you as your friend. And one of the lines I think you can tell him is like, some of my best friends have tried to kill me. Something like that. It's just like, yeah, that seems too right.
Yeah.
Knowing how that game plays out.
Yeah.
So stupid.
I do like this toy
new
though.
toy
I wish I
in the
had it.
Transformers Generations toy line in 2014, based directly on his original figure, but incorporating some aspects of his IDW design, like
looks
his
good.
bird-like digitigrade legs. This new toy was also released in Japan as part of the Transformers Legends toy line, earning WHIRL an appearance in the tie-in Legends manga. In this goofy little story, WHIRL was a robot built by the evil Tankor, who was convinced
Tankor.
to turn on his creator by a human girl.
What?
A girl who looked just like the hologram avatar used by WHIRL himself
What?
in IDW's comics. He later
that was a
hopped
thing?
dimensions from the Legends world into the world of the original Transformers cartoon, where he joined the Autobots and helped to found that universe's version of the Wreckers. This newfound fame continued into 2018, when WHIRL debuted on television as part of the cast of Rescue Bots
Oh,
Academy.
this is
though
different.
this version of the character was very different to the original. A
Obviously.
cheerful, energetic young female Autobot, this WHIRL transformed into a police helicopter and was the
Oh,
most eager
Common told me
student
about
at
this
the
series.
Really?
Well, he basically said, it was during one of my streams, he said something like, what do you think of this series? And I had to look it up, and I was just like, oh, it looks good. It looks like it was specifically made for kids, and I hope that the kids did enjoy it, because like the art style, everything just screamed like a children's show. You know, like just simple,
Hmm.
just something simple like that. And I thought, oh, that's nice. I hope it was good. That's literally all
Rescue
I know
Bots
about it.
Academy, where she trained to become a first responder,
This
investigated
does
crimes
interesting.
and mysteries, and learned the value of friendship and teamwork, all with her signature
It's
over-the-top
just a silly little
enthusiasm.
show for kids. I'm
When
fine
she
with it.
acquired a multi-cog and gained a third mode, she chose a police car, like her idol and mentor, police rescue bot, Chase.
Chase.
Despite how different they were, early designs for this version of
Ah,
WHIRL
it
were
was
based
originally
on the
WHIRL.
original WHIRL. But going by the finished show, we should definitely think of the Rescue Bot and the Wrecker as different characters.
Definitely.
Since in the episode About a Bot, a drawing of
Oh,
this
that's
WHIRL, together with an
cute.
IDW-style
Yeah.
WHIRL, appeared on her locker,
It's like
indicating
her father, her uncle, or something.
that in this series, the two coexist as separate characters.
I don't know how Transformers
Most
are born.
recently, in 2020, another new incarnation of WHIRL
The
was
best to my knowledge is basically they have a spark, which is essentially their soul, and every so often a new spark is born, and Cybertron itself kind of like starts building them a body. It really depends on the continuity, but this is to my understanding. Please comment section if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure I am, but please be nice about it, or not I will fight you guys about this. I'm not taking no sass. It's like this. They have a spark. Every so often, the spark is put into a new vessel that takes on a name and time, but depending on the continuity, depends on what it is. Because in the IDW run, due to the fact that the Transformer species was pushing more and more new bots, more and more new bots, they were literally running out of energon. That they were literally getting to the point where they had to stop naming bots. So like literally
Oh.
like D16. So instead of giving them proper names, they literally just started being like, "Oh, you're a designated 3, you're designated E7. Go do job now." kind of thing. It was really messed up.
Yeah.
That's at least how I think it happened. Some people, like some of the Transformers, like during the Golden Age, I'm like, oh, you're lying to yourself. This is the Dark Age, but you're in the top bracket, so you think of it as the Golden Age. You
Yeah.
poor soul.
That is sometimes how it happened. You're in the Gilded Age.
Yeah, that's at least how I think it is. But again, guys, if you actually know how Transformers are properly made, please let us know. And I swear to God, if I see someone say, "You see when the mommy Transformer," and I will hurt you because that was too easy. Don't you start with me.
Oh, then.
That joke is too easy, you butts.
Also, this Toy of World does not look the best. It's
It really doesn't. It's kind of weird.
it's a weaker look.
added to the Transformers Cyberverse toy line and cartoon. Visually based heavily on IDW's WHIRL and characterized as a
See, he
reckless
looks great
risk-taker
here.
like
Why not make it more like the
the original. This
Make him look more like this.
WHIRL served as part of an underground Autobot Decepticon resistance fighting against the Quintesson invasion of Cybertron.
Nice.
And so, in
Quintesson.
less than a decade, WHIRL's gone from one of the most overlooked bots in the original toy line to a fan favorite comic book star to appearing in 2 separate
Nice.
TV shows. It's been a wild, unpredictable rise to fame, but being
love his
wild
design
and
and his
unpredictable has
colours.
always been WHIRL's greatest talent. And those are the basics on WHIRL. Share your
WHIRL.
favorite incarnation of this Hellabot in the comments.
WHIRL.
If you've enjoyed this
Carl. Carl. Anyway. What did you think of that, Fable?
I think it was kind of cool though. Like it is kind of crazy to know that, like sometimes there's some of these characters that are from like the very early ages of the series that kind of like don't get a lot of attention, but then all of a sudden, if you really look at it, there's just they do appear in certain continuities or in different shows. Just they're very obscure and you don't know about them. It's kind of nice though.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to have them all cataloged so you can learn about them. And
Yeah, hell, in the current run of Transformers from Skyrun, I think it's called, or
Skybound.
Skybound. Yeah, from Skybound, Beachcomber is in the continuity, which is like if you guys know about Gen 1, you know about Beachcomber for sure.
I think I watched this episode when it was on Netflix once.
Yeah. It's just really cool that they brought him back. Also, guys, please for the love of God, read Skybound's Transformers. It is so good, but also incredibly freaking dark. I'm not even kidding. Shockwave is an ass.
Oh, listen, one day we're gonna have you and Met on that podcast, and you, Met, and Kai are all gonna start talking about Transformers, and I'm just gonna be there twiddling my fingers for the rest of the stream.
You better.
I better do that.
Yes, you better twirl your freaking fingers, you son of a butt.
Well, yeah, because you guys are gonna be talking about it. And I don't know anything about this. Anyway,
Yeah, but they're probably gonna start talking about some other things I don't know about, so you will have company. Yeah.
anyway, thank you all so much. If you like what we're doing here, please, please, please do consider the Patreon. Maybe we'll watch some of Gen 1, some of the other Transformers series you want us to watch, and other stuff. Anyway, we'll see you later. Is there anything else you wanted to add, Fable?
Um. Real talk, guys. If you enjoy certain comic stories, like it doesn't really, it doesn't. I don't care for like the series you enjoy. Please support the authors and writers by talking with your wallet, because that'll show that this is the kind of stories you would want more of. Do that because a lot of the time, especially indie comics, try really hard to put themselves out there. Show a lot of support to them, guys. They work really hard to bring you as much content as possible.
In fact, we're trying to make our own indie comic, everyone.
Yeah, like it takes a lot just to put yourself out there, and a lot of good stories don't get told because people are afraid. Support the indie industry as much as you can, even if it's just like word of mouth. You have no idea how much word of mouth actually does for a lot of shows and movies and stuff.
It helps so much more than you guys will ever realize.
Yeah, and I'm saying this because like a lot of newer good movies like Transformers 1 got destroyed because of the poor marketing.
Oh,
We need
yeah.
to show that we want stuff that's actually good like that, like to succeed, and all the crap that all the other companies are doing to not succeed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, yeah, if we're gonna make a movement, we gotta do word of mouth or talk about it and stuff like that. That's my final words on the matter.
Anyway, thank you all so much, and we'll see you all there. Bye bye.